My wife faked an affair with her ex-trainer to hide her real affair with a coworker. Now she wants me back, but I'm done with the lies. I never thought I'd be in this situation, but here I am, suspecting my wife of 8 years, Liz, 30F, of cheating on me. We've been together for 12 years total, and I always believed we had a strong, loving relationship. But lately, things have changed, and I can't shake the feeling that something's not right. Liz and I met in college. We hit it off immediately at a mutual friend's party. I was drawn to her instantly, while she later told me she loved my goofy sense of humor and how I always made her feel comfortable. We started dating soon after and have been together ever since. After graduation, we both landed jobs in the same city. I went into software development, while Liz pursued a career in scene editing. We supported each other through the early years of our careers, celebrating each other's successes and comforting each other through the setbacks. When I got my first big promotion 3 years into my job, Liz threw me a surprise party with all our friends. And when she landed her dream job at a top scene editing firm a year later, I took her on a weekend getaway to celebrate. We got married 4 years after college, in a beautiful ceremony surrounded by our friends and family. It was one of the happiest days of my life. I remember looking at Liz as we said our vows, thinking how lucky I was to have found my soulmate. The first few years of our marriage were great. We traveled, we worked on our careers, and we enjoyed building our life together. We had our share of arguments, of course, but we always managed to work through them. Communication was our strong suit, or so I thought. Things started to change about 3 years ago. I got a new job at a startup, and the pressure was intense. I was working long hours, often coming home late and exhausted. I'll admit, I wasn't as attentive to Liz during this time. I was so focused on proving myself at work that I neglected our relationship. Liz was supportive at first, but I could tell she was getting frustrated with my absence. Around the same time, we decided to start trying for a baby. We were both excited about the prospect of becoming parents. However, month after month went by without success. After a year of trying, we decided to see a fertility specialist. The tests showed that while there were no major issues, we had what they called unexplained infertility. The struggle to conceive took a toll on both of us, but especially on Liz. She started to withdraw, spending more time alone or out with her friends. I tried to be supportive, but I didn't know how to help her through her pain. Looking back, I think this was when we really started to drift apart. About 6 months ago, Liz decided to get a personal trainer. She said she wanted to get in shape for our upcoming beach vacation, but I think it was also a way for her to regain some control over her body after our fertility struggles. I was supportive of her decision, thinking it would boost her confidence and be good for her health. She signed up at a local gym and started working with a trainer named Johnny, 35M. At first, everything seemed normal. Liz would go to the gym 3 times a week for her sessions with Johnny. She'd come home tired but happy, talking about her progress and how much she enjoyed working out. I was glad to see her so enthusiastic about something. But then, things started to change. Liz began spending more time at the gym, sometimes going 5 or 6 days a week. She'd often come home later than expected, saying she had stayed for extra training or to chat with Johnny about nutrition. I didn't think much of it at first, but then I noticed other changes in her behavior. Liz started paying more attention to her appearance. She bought new workout clothes, started wearing makeup to the gym, and even changed her hairstyle. Again, I tried not to read too much into it, thinking maybe she was just feeling more confident. After all, wasn't that what I wanted for her? However, the red flags started piling up. Liz became protective of her phone, always keeping it face down or taking it with her everywhere, even to the bathroom. She changed her password, which she had never done before in our relationship. When I asked her about it casually, she said it was for work security reasons, but I knew her job hadn't changed its policies. Our sex life, which had always been pretty good, became almost non-existent. Liz would often say she was too tired or sore from working out. When we did have sex, it felt different, like she wasn't really present. I tried to initiate conversations about it, but she would always brush me off, saying she was just stressed about work. One night, I woke up to find Liz texting someone at 2 a.m. When I asked her about it the next morning, she said it was just Johnny sending her a new workout plan. I found it odd that her trainer would be texting her in the middle of the night, but Liz brushed it off as no big deal. She said Johnny was just really dedicated to his clients and often worked late. I started noticing other little things too. Liz would sometimes come home smelling like cologne, which she claimed was just the scent of the gym. She began mentioning Johnny more and more in conversation, talking about how funny and smart he was. It felt like she was comparing me to him, and I always came up short. Last week, I saw a notification pop up on Liz's phone while she was in the shower. It was a message from Johnny that said, "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Our special session is going to be amazing." When I confronted Liz about it, she got defensive and accused me of snooping. She said the special session was just a new workout routine Johnny had designed for her. I don't know what to do. I love Liz and want to trust her, but all these signs are pointing to something going on between her and Johnny. Am I overreacting? Should I confront her directly about my suspicions? Or should I try to gather more evidence first? I'm lost and could really use some advice. Our relationship hasn't always been perfect. We've had our ups and downs like any couple. During my stressful period at the startup, I know I wasn't the best husband. I became distant and irritable, often taking my frustrations out on Liz. We fought a lot during that time, but I thought we had managed to work through it. I remember one particularly bad fight about 2 years ago. I had missed Liz's birthday dinner because of a work emergency. When I got home, Liz was in tears. She told me she felt like she was losing me, that work had become more important than our relationship. It was a wake-up call for me. I promised her I would do better, and for a while, I did. I made more effort to be present, to plan date nights, to show her she was my priority. But then our fertility issues started, and it brought a whole new set of challenges. Liz was particularly affected by this, feeling like her body was letting her down. I remember holding her as she cried after each negative pregnancy test. We eventually decided to take a break from trying and focus on our relationship. That was about a year ago, and things had seemed to improve between us until recently. I've always tried to be a good husband. I support Liz in her career as a senior executive, I do my share of the housework, and I've always encouraged her to pursue her interests. That's why I was so supportive when she wanted to start working out with a trainer. Now I'm wondering if that was a mistake. I'm scared of losing Liz. The thought of her being with someone else tears me apart. But I'm also angry and hurt that she might be betraying me like this. I've always believed in the strength of our relationship, but now I'm questioning everything. I keep thinking back to our wedding day, how happy and in love we were. I remember our first apartment together, a tiny studio that we were so proud of. I think about all the dreams we shared, traveling the world, starting a family, growing old together. Is all of that slipping away now? Please, if anyone has been through something similar or has any advice, I could really use some guidance right now. How do I approach this situation? How do I find out the truth without pushing Liz away? And if my worst fears are confirmed, how do I even begin to deal with that? Update 1. It's been about 2 weeks since my original post, and a lot has happened. I want to thank everyone who commented and offered advice. Your support really helped me through this difficult time. After reading your comments, I decided to do some digging before confronting Liz. I know some of you advised against this, but I felt I needed more information. I'm not proud of what I did, but I felt I had no choice. I installed a tracking app on Liz's phone while she was sleeping. I also put a small voice recorder in her car. I know this was a massive invasion of privacy, but I was desperate for the truth. The guilt ate at me every day, but I couldn't bring myself to remove the devices. Every time I considered it, I'd remember Liz's secretive behavior and convince myself it was necessary. What I discovered broke my heart. The voice recorder picked up several conversations between Liz and Johnny. They weren't just talking about workouts. There were intimate conversations, plans to meet up, and even sounds that I can't bring myself to describe. It was clear that their relationship had gone far beyond trainer and client. One conversation in particular stands out in my mind. Liz was telling Johnny about a trip we had taken to Paris for our 5th anniversary. It was a special memory for me, we had saved for months to afford it, and I had surprised Liz with tickets to the top of the Eiffel Tower at sunset. Hearing her share this intimate memory with Johnny felt like a betrayal all on its own. With this evidence, I confronted Liz. I chose a time when we were both home and calm. I started by telling her that I knew about her affair with Johnny. At first, she tried to deny it, but when I mentioned the recordings, she broke down. Liz admitted to having an affair with Johnny for the past 4 months. She said it started innocently enough, with Johnny flirting with her and making her feel attractive. She said she was flattered by the attention and one thing led to another. She swore that she never meant for it to happen and that she still loved me. I asked her why she did it, and her answer hurt more than I expected. She said that after our struggles with fertility, she felt old and unattractive. Johnny made her feel young and desirable again. She also mentioned that she felt we had grown apart over the years, that we had become more like roommates than lovers. Liz told me about how it started. After a particularly intense workout session, Johnny had complimented her progress and told her she was one of his most dedicated clients. They started talking more during her sessions, and soon Johnny was texting her workout tips outside of gym hours. Liz said she enjoyed the attention and the boost to her self-esteem. She claimed she didn't realize she was developing feelings for Johnny until it was too late. I was devastated. I told Liz that I needed time to think and that she should stay with her sister for a while. She left that night, crying and apologizing over and over. As I watched her pack a bag, I was hit with memories of all the times we'd packed for trips together, excited about the adventures ahead. Now, I was watching her pack to leave our home, possibly for good. Since then, I've been on an emotional roller coaster. One moment I'm angry and want to file for divorce immediately. The next, I'm remembering all our good times together and wondering if we can salvage our marriage. Liz has been calling and texting constantly, begging for another chance. She says she'll do anything to make it right. I've been going through old photos and mementos from our relationship. Our wedding album, ticket stubs from concerts we attended, silly little gifts we've given each other over the years. Each item is a reminder of the love we shared, but now they're all tainted by Liz's betrayal. I'm torn about what to do next. Part of me wants to try to work things out. We've been together for so long, and the thought of starting over is terrifying. But another part of me doesn't know if I can ever trust her again. The images of her with Johnny keep playing in my head, and I don't know if I can get past that. I've told Liz that I need more time to think. I've also asked her to cut all contact with Johnny, which she agreed to do. She even offered to quit her job and find a new gym if that would help rebuild my trust. But I'm not sure if any of that matters now. The trust is broken, and I don't know if it can be repaired. I'm planning to see a lawyer next week to understand my options. I'm not making any decisions yet, but I want to be prepared for all possibilities. The thought of potentially ending our marriage is overwhelming. We've built so much together, our home, our careers, our shared dreams for the future. The idea of dismantling all of that is heartbreaking. This whole situation has made me question everything. Was I not attentive enough? Did I miss signs that Liz was unhappy? I keep replaying our relationship in my head, trying to pinpoint where things went wrong. Could I have prevented this if I had been a better husband? If I had been more understanding about our fertility issues? If I had paid more attention to Liz's needs? I've been having trouble sleeping and concentrating at work. My colleagues have noticed that something's off, but I can't bring myself to tell them what's happening. How do you even begin to explain something like this? I appreciate any advice or support you can offer. Has anyone been able to rebuild trust after infidelity? Or is it better to make a clean break and move on? I feel lost and could use some guidance. How do I even begin to rebuild my life if I decide to end the marriage? And if I decide to try to work things out, how do we move forward from here? Thank you all for listening and for your support. It means more than you know during this difficult time. Update 2. It's been about a month since my last update, and I wanted to share what's been happening. After a lot of soul-searching and long conversations with friends and family, I decided to give marriage counseling a try. Liz was eager to participate, and we've had 4 sessions so far. In our counseling sessions, we've uncovered some deep-rooted issues in our relationship. Liz revealed that she had been feeling neglected for years, even before our fertility struggles. She said I had become too focused on work and had stopped making her feel special. While this doesn't excuse her affair, it helped me understand her perspective a bit better. Liz talked about how she felt when I was working long hours at the startup. She said she understood my drive to succeed, but she felt like she was always taking a backseat to my career. She mentioned specific instances, like the time I missed her cousin's wedding because of a work emergency, or how I would often be on my phone during our date nights. Hearing these things was hard, but I had to admit there was truth to them. For my part, I realized that I had indeed taken Liz for granted in many ways. I had stopped doing the little things that made our relationship special, surprise dates, small gifts, or even just sitting and really talking to each other without distractions. I remembered how I used to leave little love notes in her lunch bag when we first started living together, or how we used to have Sunday morning coffee dates where we'd talk for hours. Somewhere along the way, I had let those habits slip. However, just as we were starting to make some progress in counseling, something happened that changed everything. Last week, I ran into Johnny at a local coffee shop. He didn't know who I was, but I recognized him from photos. My heart started racing as soon as I saw him. I debated whether to say anything, but in the end, my need for answers won out. I decided to introduce myself, curious about how he would react. To my shock, Johnny seemed genuinely confused. He said he knew Liz from the gym but insisted their relationship was strictly professional. When I mentioned the affair, he looked stunned and swore he had never been involved with Liz romantically. He even showed me his phone, offering to let me look through his messages to prove he was telling the truth. I didn't know what to believe. Was Johnny lying to cover his tracks? Or had Liz been lying about the extent of her affair? My mind was reeling as I left the coffee shop. I decided to dig deeper. I reached out to the gym where Johnny worked and discovered something that turned my world upside down. Johnny had left the gym 4 months ago to take a job in another state. He had only been back in town for a wedding when I ran into him. This meant that Liz's story about her ongoing affair with Johnny couldn't be true. The timing didn't add up. The Johnny she had been seeing for the past 4 months couldn't have been the real Johnny. I felt like I was in some kind of bizarre nightmare. I confronted Liz with this information. At first, she tried to maintain her story, but when I presented her with the facts about Johnny's departure from the gym, she broke down. The truth, it turned out, was even more complicated than I had imagined. Liz admitted that she had a brief flirtation with Johnny when he was her trainer, but it never turned physical. When Johnny left, Liz was embarrassed about her behavior and vowed to recommit to our marriage. However, she had already started confiding in a coworker, Sean, 38M, about her marital issues. Sean, seeing an opportunity, started pursuing Liz. He was the one she had been having an affair with for the past 4 months. She had used Johnny's name as a cover, thinking I would be less likely to suspect a coworker. I was floored by this revelation. Not only had Liz been cheating, but she had also been systematically lying about every aspect of her affair. The level of deception was astounding. She had created an entire false narrative, using Johnny as a decoy to throw me off the scent of her real affair with Sean. Liz broke down completely at this point. She admitted that she had panicked when I first confronted her about the affair. She said she thought using Johnny's name would make the affair seem less personal, as if that somehow made it better. She also confessed that she had been the one sending herself messages from Johnny to cover her tracks. I felt like I was drowning in lies. Every time I thought I had reached the bottom of this deception, another layer was revealed. The Liz I thought I knew, the woman I had loved and trusted for 12 years, seemed to have disappeared completely. Now, I'm back to square one, but with even less trust than before. Liz is begging for forgiveness, saying she'll do anything to save our marriage. She's offered to quit her job, to cut all ties with Sean, to go to intensive therapy, anything to prove that she's committed to rebuilding our relationship. But I don't know if I can ever trust her again after such elaborate lies. The depth of her deception goes beyond anything I could have imagined. It's not just the affair itself, but the calculated way she lied about it, creating false evidence and using Johnny as a scapegoat. I've asked Liz to move out permanently while I figure out what I want to do. She's staying with her sister again, and this time, I'm not sure if I want her to come back. I'm leaning towards divorce, but I'm still processing everything that's happened. I feel like I'm living in a bad soap opera. How did my life get so complicated? The future I had imagined for us, the house with the white picket fence, the kids playing in the backyard, growing old together, seems like a distant dream now. I'm struggling to make sense of everything. Was any part of our relationship real? Were there signs I missed along the way? I keep replaying moments from our past, wondering if they were genuine or just part of Liz's act. Any advice on how to proceed from here would be appreciated. How do you even begin to recover from this level of betrayal? Is there any coming back from this, or is it time to cut my losses and move on? Update 3. It's been 2 months since my last update, and I wanted to share the conclusion of this painful chapter in my life. After Liz's revelation about her affair with Sean and the elaborate lie involving Johnny, I knew I couldn't continue in the marriage. The trust was completely shattered, and I couldn't see a way to rebuild it. The level of deception went beyond anything I could forgive or move past. I filed for divorce shortly after my last update. Liz initially tried to fight it, promising to change and begging for another chance. She suggested more counseling, offered to move to a different city, even talked about renewing our vows. But I stood firm in my decision. The Liz I had loved and trusted was gone, replaced by someone I didn't recognize and couldn't trust. The divorce process has been difficult, but less contentious than I feared. We don't have children, which simplified things somewhat. We're in the process of selling our house and dividing our assets. It's painful to dismantle the life we built together, but I know it's necessary. Packing up our home has been an emotional process. Each item brings back memories, both good and bad. The coffee maker we bought on our honeymoon, the throw pillows Liz insisted on buying for our first apartment, the framed photo from our trip to Yellowstone. It's hard to let go, but I know holding on to these things won't bring back what we've lost. One unexpected development was that Liz's affair with Sean came to light at their workplace. Apparently, another coworker had suspected something and reported it to HR. Both Liz and Sean faced disciplinary action, and Liz ended up leaving her job. I don't take any pleasure in her professional difficulties, but I'm glad the truth came out. As for me, I'm slowly healing. I've started seeing a therapist to work through my trust issues and the trauma of the affair. It's been helpful to have a professional to talk to as I navigate this major life change. We've been working on rebuilding my self-esteem and learning to trust my own judgment again. I've also been leaning on my friends and family for support. Their love and understanding have been crucial in getting me through this difficult time. I've reconnected with old friends I had neglected during my marriage, which has been a silver lining in all of this. Last weekend, I went on a camping trip with some college buddies. It was the first time in months that I felt truly relaxed and able to laugh. I'm not ready to date yet, but I'm starting to feel hopeful about the future. I'm focusing on myself, my career, my hobbies, my health. I've started working out, at a different gym, of course, and it's been great for managing stress and rebuilding my self-esteem. I've also taken up photography, something I've always been interested in but never made time for before. Looking back, I can see the signs I missed in my marriage. While Liz's actions were her choice and her responsibility, I know I contributed to the breakdown of our relationship in my own ways. I'm committed to learning from this experience so I can be a better partner in the future. To anyone going through something similar, know that it does get better. It's a long and painful process, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. Trust your gut, stand up for yourself, and don't be afraid to lean on your support system. Thank you all for your support and advice throughout this ordeal. It truly helped me navigate one of the most difficult periods of my life. Here's to new beginnings and brighter days ahead.